Good afternoon, Minister. Thank you so much for joining me.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to start by talking to you about the economy, because I know your background is in economics and that is your brief as well. Could you tell us how things are progressing at the moment, and particularly what's been the impact of the conflict which is happening in the east of the country?
Yeah, I think, first of all, the DRC economy has been growing for the last 20 years, continuously. And of course, COVID came. That was a big hit, but the economy recovered quite quickly the following year. And so we are enjoying good numbers in terms of economic growth. But it's clear that what's happening in the eastern part of the country is affecting the economy. We have lost revenues because there are two provinces that the central government is not controlling anymore. We hope it's not going to take too much time. But so far, we have kept inflation. Inflation is going down. Growth is high. And public finances are doing well. So far, so good. And we wish that this situation can come to an end so quickly so that we can recover.
Is there any way you can quantify the impact at all? Do you have any idea of the costs?
In terms of public finance, I think we've lost close to 5% of the receipts.
And alongside that, obviously the export of minerals is a big part of your economy. Now, a couple of months ago, you decided that you needed to limit the amount of cobalt that you are exporting, which is obviously a crucial part of the world economy. How has that had the results that you were hoping for it to have? Do you see that continuing?
What we did, what the government did, we wanted to send a message to the world market that we are supplying 70% of cobalt in the world economy, and cobalt prices have been going down and down, and exports, and we have been exporting more and more. So we wanted that to come to an end, and I think you have seen that prices went up as soon as we froze exports for 4 months. So at the end of that period, then we will review the situation to see if we can restart exporting as we used to do before.
Okay, I have a lot of readers who are in Indonesia who are very interested in this subject, and I wondered whether you've been talking to the government there, whether there are any plans for cooperation, and whether you think some kind of OPEC for minerals is a good idea.
Yes, we have started talking to them. We understand that we can't do it alone, that we need some kind of cooperation between the big producers and the big exporters. So we are talking to Indonesia about cobalt, as well as we are talking to them about forestry and some other stuff.
And do you think that might take the form of some kind of organization ultimately?
That's what we would like to see happening. Yeah.
And another area which is very important to your economy is agriculture. And you are really equipped to be a powerhouse of agriculture. And I was reading a book by George Forrest, who's a big player in that industry, and he was saying that he believes Africa could and should be feeding the world. But that's really not been happening. What needs to change, and what can you change in your country to make that a reality?
I visited one of George Forrest's farms a week ago in Katanga, in Okatanga. He's right. What needs to be done is, first, we have to invest more in agriculture because the whole chain is not in place. We are not putting any money into seeds production. We are not putting money into irrigation systems. We are not investing enough in research, agronomic research. So public investment in the sector is the first step. We have to increase public investment in agriculture. We have to put in place the what will make it easier for farmers to buy entrants, to buy inputs like fertilizers, seeds, because today we import fertilizers, we import seeds, and you will have you don't have a continuous cycle so that farmers can be well equipped in terms of the entrants that they need to produce. So the yields are very low. Food yields are very low. Rice, maize, and all those foodstuffs, we have very low yields. So until we see a sharp rise in the yields in the DRC, it's very difficult for us to. But we know what needs to be done, so we'd better start doing it.
Do you have a time scale for how long this transformation you think might take, or do you have any target?
It might take 10 years to have good results, especially for foodstuffs like rice and maize. For these two products, yes, we can make it in 10 years if we have a good plan and we start funding it as well as possible.
Thank you. And the last question I wanted to ask you about the economy was about the de-dollarization which your country is proceeding with. I want to know how successful that's been, what results that you've seen on the ground, and also what's the next steps for you in that regard.
You know, the dollarization takes time. It takes a lot of time. Where countries have succeeded to de-dollarize their economies, it took them 10 to 15 years. And what you need is a stable economy for that time span. We did very well in 2012, 13, 14, until the economy was hit twice when copper prices went down and recently with COVID. So anytime that inflation goes up and that the exchange rate keeps being unstable, then, you know, the economy will go back to the old system where people will stick to the dollar instead of having more faith and more trust in the Congolese currency.
I'm sort of feeling that's not a complete success at the moment.
It's not. When you look at the proportion of bank credits or even bank deposits, we still have 90 to 95% of bank deposits in US dollars in the entire banking system in the country. And it's the same, almost the same figure for bank credits, 95%. So that's the best illustration you could have that we have a highly dollarized economy.
And what's the next step? I mean, is there something the government can do to accelerate this process, or are you happy with how it's going?
No, we are not happy with. You know, when you have a situation like that, your monetary policy is quite inefficient. There is nothing you can do in terms of. As we try, and I think we've been quite successful to keep inflation low, to keep the exchange rate stable for quite a long time. It's been now almost 9 months that the exchange rate has been stable. So people will then regain trust in Congolese franc. But then it depends also on the instruments being used by the banking system. For instance, today, getting credit in Congolese francs is more expensive than getting credits in US dollars. And that needs to change, you know. Why it is so difficult? It's because to keep the exchange rate stable, the central bank has raised its interest rate. And the interest rates on credits in Congolese francs is correlated to the central bank interest rate. So let's hope that the central bank will become, I would say, less worried about what could happen if it lowers the interest rate. They've kept it for now 1 year and even more. So once that interest rate keeps going down or starts going down, then probably the interest rates on credits in Congolese francs will also be lower.
And finally, we're here at the Crans-Montana Forum in Morocco. I'd just like to ask you how your visit to the country has gone, if you have achieved what you hoped from it.
Yeah, I think it was quite interesting to attend this forum. Not only about being in Morocco and once again having a chance to see what's happening in this country. There are tremendous things happening in this country. But this South-South cooperation framework, I think it's a very, very important issue for us. And the initiative that the Crans-Montana has been putting forward about these Africa hubs with African countries collaborating in different schemes and trying to secure funding from the Middle East countries. I think that's one avenue that we have to look at, and we are very well interested into that.
Brilliant. Minister, thank you so much for speaking to me today.
You're welcome.